Hello coders, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. It's the afternoon stroke evening for here. It's 7 minutes past 6. Gosh, I'm a little bit late. The reason why I'm late is because I was actually painting some Warhammer. I thought, I've got a couple of minutes before the stream so I can get this done, and then before I knew it, it was like 6 o'clock and I panicked and I was like, I haven't got my drink ready and the office is a right mess. Paint everywhere. So yes, looking at my miniatures down here, I'm not very good at painting. Anyway, what I want to do today is not talk about Warhammer. I could talk about that all day, but what I want to do today is there's two things. There's one, we'll probably only do one of them, but I've got some stuff to do with the PHP unit talk that I'm going to give in the next few weeks. We were doing that on the last stream, coming up with some sort of ideas for slide titles. So I would like to put a bit more skin on the bones on that. Also, I want to do some. I'm in the evenings. Recently, I've been doing some work on the howtocodewell.net site, and I've been trying to move away from Codeception and just use PHP unit. There are a number of tests, both unit tests, acceptance tests, integration tests, and command tests, I think. So I would like to move those to just use PHP unit rather than Codeception. Reason being is that I want to upgrade Symfony. And I want to first reduce the amount of packages that the howtocodewell.net site uses and relies on, Codeception being one of them. So I have been in the process of moving the unit tests first over to PHP unit rather than Codeception. And I would like to play around with that. And what I'll do just whilst I'm on this sort of screen is I just want to run a command just to see if it is at the position where I can actually show you. So bear with me a second whilst I do write some stuff. PHP unit run. Let's just run that and see. Right, bear with me a minute whilst I have a look. Lots of failures. Your XML is deprecated. Migrate configuration. Okay, hang on. Scroll up. So we've got 848 tests, 966 assertions. There are 163 errors and 2 were skipped. So that is, I think that's where I had it last time. That's great. So what I need to do is, let's work on this first. Let's do this. And if we are able to progress this quite well, then I might do some stuff on the talk. So what I've done is I'll show you. Let's bring that down. I have created in the website. So this is our monolith. In the website, there's a tests folder. And in the test folder, this is all Codeception except for unit. Unit is now running directly PHP unit tests rather than Codeception tests, and I'm in the process of converting them. So there's 163 errors here that we need to solve. Let's just bring that up a bit. There we go, 163 errors, 2 skipped. And I ran just PHP... I think I just ran PHP unit. I think I can do tests unit. I think that'll probably be better rather than try and do the other types of tests. That's better. I think the other tests. So we've still got some failures, but I think there are about 70 rather than 163. No, there's 19 even. That is even better. So yeah, if we can get those 19 errors done, then that'd be great, and then I can start working on the talk. So okay, so this is something to do with the entity profile. Then there's a bunch of similar ones. So get module is something that Codeception was doing. These look like form tests to me. Yeah, so there's a bunch of form tests. In fact, I think the majority of them are. This is something new. But still, it's a form, but it's a different error. Okay, let's just pick one. Let's go for a number 1, I think. So here we go. Symfony option resolver. An exception has occurred resolving the options of Symfony component core field file type. The option constraints does not exist. Defined options are blah, 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 blah. So at some point in this, I am running a constraint. So that extends the type test case. Ah, that's interesting. That's an invalid namespace. Okay, the plot thickens. So that's what it extends, which is the Symfony test case. Whereas before it was, I believe it was extending a codeception type. And what I had put in was a replacement from the tester. So normally in codeception you have tester, which is here. And I think, yeah, I replaced it with this factory being a method on the type test case. So let me just double check a couple of things. Do we have anything in for the tester? Can I remove that? That I can actually remove that. That's great. So there we go. Now it's complaining about a constraint, right? The option constraints. So what this is doing, it's a unit test that's testing the valid submitted data. We are creating a code type class or code type form, and we are instantiating a new code. That's the expected, and we are setting a form, and we're passing in a file. And I mean, this really could be mocked, to be honest. And then what we're doing is we're checking if it's synchronized, and we're making sure that the expected, the model of code is the same as expected. That actually doesn't make any sense, Pete, because that's the same. Oh, form is form submit code file. Actually, this looks like a daft test, to be honest, doesn't it? It doesn't really make you're checking if that is the same as that. Well, it's because it's changed, right? So you're passing that into the creation method. So really I need to check this in here. So that is ridiculous. Let's get rid of that for a start. Code file. I need to refresh my memory as to what this is doing. So we've got constraints. That would probably be the problem here. Label mapped required. Constraints is file. That would be what we're passing through, right? So we have our new file, max size. Please upload a valid project file. Okay, so code file. What's code? I'm just curious as to what that relates to. Code file. File name is what it should be, not code file. That is very weird. Code file. That should just be file name, right? Is that right? Let's run that. Let's see if we can run this specific test, which is in unit form code type test.php. Let's run that. Okay, we got a failure. Right, so it's complaining again about the constraints. That's fine. The option constraints does not exist. Defined options are invalid multiple mapped trim upload max size. Maybe that's what we need. So let's go over to this again. So it's complaining that the constraint, this constraint, is invalid, and it's because we're passing in file type. File type class is a Symfony type, and we've got, yeah, so that does need to go. That needs to go. I'm going to just Google what we should replace it with. So it is a Symfony file type class, and we're looking for constraints. Validation constraints. Right, I'll just put this over here so we can see what we're doing. All right, so we've got string constraints, we've got file constraints. Here we go. So file constraints is file or image. Click on file. So really what I would like to do, we've got this on the entity of author, but we want to do this on the actual form. So let's see, that would be on the validator, options, extensions. Do we have anything in here which has kind of an example of a form? I don't think we do. Okay, so maybe that's not what we're looking for. It is add file type class constraints. Okay, I tell you what, first of all, let's get rid of this, because this is obviously the thing that is causing the problem. But I'm going to just copy that or put that in my clipboard because we will need it. And let's just run the test again. Let's see if we can get past that. We do, but still we should write a test at least for this. Somehow we could test for the MIME type being incorrect at least. So when we go and actually create this file name, that's what the test check path is. See, I am thinking that this is just a bad test. It needs to be replaced completely and utterly. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I picked a rubbish test for the first one, didn't I? Yeah, don't worry about that Sentry. That's okay. Let me Google best ways to test a file upload or something like that. So Symfony unit test file form upload, because I'm interested. How do you do this? There must be a way of doing it. In Symfony 2 documentation, this gives an example where we're creating a form and we're passing up the uploaded stuff. This, however, in all my tests, I'm getting nothing in the required object, blah, 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 blah. Upload test, web test. See, I don't want to be, well, I do want to do something similar to this, but I don't want to, maybe, well, this is Symfony 2, so maybe they've changed it, but anyway, so we do client request. I don't want to create the client though, but okay. So here, this was an error in the documentation. So photo uploaded file to here. Okay, so we create a new uploaded file. That makes sense. And then you were creating a client, and then we're setting that as a request. I'm not sure. Test upload. Let's just have a look at that. So we do an uploaded file. We are crawling. So this is a sort of a functional test. I don't want to do a functional test. Not really. I'm guessing the path needs to be correct, right? Okay. What I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this test because it's just rubbish, and I'm going to create a task to actually handle this test better, because this is just ridiculous. So yeah, I think that's what we'll do. Otherwise, I'm just going to be screwing around with this for all night. So let's just get to the form. Let's delete this like so. Let's go back to here. That's what it was. That's fine. Let's just, I'm going to load up the Jira stuff. Bear with me a second. Probably need to do some logging in and various other things. Yeah. Hold on. give me a sec whilst I sort all this out. And we go to create a backlog's fine. Click on create. Right, and I'm just gonna. Do we have another window, Chrome window, running? Yeah. All right, let's just bung that into there for a sec. Right, so I'm going to remove. Oh, I've done that. So we're gonna create a unit test for. It's a code upload for code file upload. Okay, I'm gonna say something like, come on, why can't I get into there? There we go. Right, so I'm gonna say create unit tests, right? Because I think we're gonna need more than one. So test the following. One, upload file with wrong MIME type. Upload file which is too big in file size. Attempt to submit form without file. All right, so they're the three cases. So all cases have been tested and all tests pass. Okay, fine. I'm gonna just put some labels on that. It is a test. I won't bother putting it in a sprint or anything. I'll just create that. Okay, that's cool. Okay, so we're gonna just leave it as is, which is a shame, and just remove the test, which is a bit of a cop out, but because I've created the old Jira item, it's in the backlog now. Whoops. So what I'll do is I'll run this again, and we may have to do this. Like, we may have to just delete the tests when they're just not working or don't look brilliant. This task is more about moving the tests as to what they are into Codeception, and if we can see any tests that just aren't great, then we just won't move them. We just get rid of them. You know. Okay, so this time I'll pick one from random. So we'll do a, I don't know, course no. Trying to find one that isn't going to be that tricky. He says, let's do a course detail type test. There we go. Okay, so I think it follows the same sort of stuff. This is a type test case, right? So that's what it extends rather than the PHP unit type. We can get rid of the tester, and down here, this is the Codeception way of loading up Symfony, and then like grabbing a service from Symfony. But because we've got the type test case, which we're extending from, we can get rid of all this stuff, and we can now do this factory. Okay, cool. This is the form course detail type. So we're going to run form course detail type test. There we go. And that's worked. Excellent. Excellent. That's great. So what we're doing here is we are creating an entity that has expected settings on it. We're then creating a form, and we're submitting raw data. We're checking if it's synchronized, and what we're doing is we're comparing the expected entity with the new entity, with the entity that has been created from the form. So when we, up here, we have course. So we're instantiating a new course, which is the same as the expected entity. We're setting all of those values, and then we're putting it in here. It can be done much better. We're using data providers, sure, but again, this isn't a task for tidying up these tests. It's a task for either getting rid of crappy tests or just migrating them over. So there we go. Right, that's a win. So let's go back to, I think we'll just run form, because I think that's where the majority of these are, and I think that's probably the yeah. So now we're down to 17. That's great, because I think there's a lot of similar stuff because these are all running off of get module. So I think these are all pretty similar stuff. We'll do this one first. Price test. So again, it's got the tester here. We can get rid of that. We can change this to be type test case, and we need to tidy up this stuff here. Okay, this is the magic. So we get rid of all of this stuff, and we change that and this, and we change this to be this factory. And I think this is doing the same thing. We can get rid of this because that's no longer required. So we've got form submit the amounts. We check if it's synchronized, and this time we're checking if it's valid. So we're only checking the happy path here, which is a bit weird. So I'm going to put in a task to check the invalid. In fact, we might as well just create an invalid path. Let's just run this. So this is price test, type test. There we go. Boom. That's worked. Let's just see what we can do. Let's do a price type. So we've got amount, currency, the Stripe ID, which is not required, currency code, and the amount. So that, why, hang on a minute. Why was this So I can see that we've got the amount there. Sure. I'm curious. I am curious as to the currency code. If I would actually, if I was to change that to true, right? If I was to change that to true and then run the test, is this going to fail? No, that's weird. See, I would have thought that would have failed because the requirement is true. Maybe I haven't set these tests up properly, because we've got form is synchronized, which is true, and then form is valid is true. But that should have been a required amount. I mean, that should have been a required thing. I'm confused. Let me go back to the docs and have a look for Symfony. I thought that was the case. Symfony form test. Symfony unit form test. How to test your forms. In this article, we intended for developers who create the custom form types. If you're using the built-in Symfony form types of the blah, 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 you don't need to. Okay, fine. Right, so we have some form data, and we've got a model here, test object, and we've got form this factory. So this is what we've seen, you know, what we're doing here. So that would be the entity, you know, the model. We've got the form where we're passing in the model to this. So that's the blank data. That's the expected test object. So it's another instance of test object. So again, that's what we've done. Populate the expected properties with data stored in form data, which, you've seen, and then we submit this, and then we check whether it's synchronized. So again, that's fine, and then we do an assert equals check that the model was modified and was expected when the form was submitted. So that is essentially what we're doing. However, I'm confused as to why it is saying, whoops, that it's valid when it's not. That's the wrong one. This one. Yeah. So, I mean, what happens if we just do this, right? We got a failure. Too few arguments in. Okay, so if we were to just pass in an empty array, is it because I'm Is it because I'm using submit rather than submit data? Is that why? Submit? No, we're not. That is very weird. Why is that valid? Why on earth is a blank string valid? I mean, okay, maybe it's because the is valid returns whether the form and all children are valid. I wonder if there's something I need to call between the synchronization and this to ensure that it is valid, because that shouldn't be valid. I mean, they don't do a valid check here, right? Let's scroll down a little bit further and see. So this is all of this. So what does the test? So what does it test? Here is the detailed explanation. So first of all, verify that the form type complies. This includes basic class inheritance, the build form method, and options resolution. This should be the first test you write. So that, right? So form create, and then the form type, and then that. So this factory create. This factory create. Yes, that is correct. Okay, so this type checks that none of the data transformers used by the form produce an error. The is synchronized method is only set to false if the data transformer throws an exception. So here we've got form submit, form data, and then this true is synchronized. So that is correct. Okay, don't test the validation. Oh, okay, fine. Don't test the validation. It is applied by the listener that is not active in the test case, and it relies on the validation configuration. Instead, unit test your constraints directly or read how to add custom extensions. Okay, right. So the fact that I'm doing this just doesn't do anything. Fine. Okay. Fine. All right. Okay. I've probably added that is valid in a lot of places, because I would have thought that would have just been the test. In fact, let's just go and find it. So is valid. Yeah. Wow. Okay, so let's just get rid of this. Is always going to return true then, according to the in fact, we can just do a control R. Can I? Are you going to allow me? No. I thought I could. Replacing files. Oh, different keyboard, isn't it? Yeah. So self assert true. Form is valid. That's how I would have written it. There we go. Right, we want to replace it with nothing. Boom. Make sure that did actually do the thing. Yeah. Yeah, it's just removed it from there. Okay, that's fine. Oh, man. This is what happens when you don't read the documentation. Don't test the validation. So there's no... Fair enough. So these tests test the synchronization. They test whether the forms have actually been built correctly. Okay, so it doesn't matter if you submit it with empty stuff. The test is checking whether the form comes back with the same stuff as you first expected. So what, I'm on price, aren't I? Price type. There we go. Right, so it's this test here. Right, so let's go ahead and actually start creating this stuff. So we're going to try and follow the documentation, I think, form data, and we're going to create ourselves some form stuff. So we've got amount here, and that was like $10.99. What else was there in this price test? Let's split that to the right here. So we've got in here, we've got currency code, which I believe is a string. So let's just set that to GB. And then we've got stripe ID, which is not required, but because we're not testing the validation, it's fine. So it's just stripe ID. And we're just going to say like test. I think the format is like test price and then underscore like 1, 2, 3 or whatever. Okay, so we're going to supply that form data over to here. Good stuff. And then we don't have to worry about any of that jazz. That's fine. We then check if it's synchronized or not. And then what we do, they have in the documentation, they're using the assert equals. I kind of prefer doing the same, asserting same, but we'll do it like this. This is fine. So we want to make sure that the price that we supply is the same. Well, that would be the model. That would be the model. And then the expected would be their new thing here, expected. So we would have, we can do it down here, can't we? Well, we'll do it above. So expected is equal to a new instance of price, and what we have in the price will be all of this. So we've got set amounts, which is 10.99.99, not 00. We've got under here set currency code, which we're going to set to GB. I'm not sure if that's the right way of putting the currency code, but whatever. Then we got set stripe ID, and that is test. Whoops. Price 1, 2, 3. Okay, right. And then what we're doing is we're comparing the expected to the price. Okay, let's just roll this. I mean, it's not going to be this. I don't think this is going to be correct, but we'll see, because when I instantiate these things, there's other like default things that we have to be aware of, like dates and all of that stuff. So I don't think it's going to be totally correct. Right, what is this? Argument currency code must be currency code instance string given. Yeah. Yeah. Darn. Let's do expected. Currency code is equal to a new currency code. I don't know what we would need on that. We've got set code, set country, set crypto, set currency, set symbol. There's quite a lot in here. Let's just see if we can pass this in. Currency, current. Okay, it's not spelled right, but okay, that's fine. Let's just, I don't know if this is gonna, I doubt this is gonna work. because that would need to be a new instance of that, wouldn't it? With all of those details. This probably won't work. This probably won't work. No. Okay, so what we've got here is currency code. That is the expected, right? So failed asserting that two objects are equal. Yeah. Now I guess I could pass in that maybe. I don't know. Yes, that's correct. Now, if I was to change like that to be like 1, 2, 3, 4 rather than 1, 2, 3, that should fail. Yes, it does fail, and it's failing because it's Okay, so that does make sense, and because we don't need to go into for like depth as to what this is. That's fine. All right. Okay. It's a little bit long-winded, and I can't spell currency, even though I've got it spelt there. Right. Cool. Let's get rid of that. Good. Okay. Is this a legacy system? I suppose you could say it is. I think you could probably say it is. I mean, it's an old app it's an old site that I've created. It's actually howtocodewell.net, and I'm going through the stages of trying to upgrade it to a higher version of Symfony. And before we do that, I need to remove some of the packages, because some of the packages are very old. They're very dependent on old versions of Symfony, and there's better ways to do things now. So I used to use Codeception a lot for all the types of tests that I have, but I want to now use just raw PHP unit, because PHP unit has improved itself, and there are more efficient ways to do it. It's also a bunch of with Codeception, I needed to include a bunch of packages. It wasn't just Codeception, it was other packages as well. So by removing Codeception, I can remove the other sub packages, and then it would make the actual upgrade to the higher versions of Symfony far easier. So yeah, this is you could call this a legacy application, sure. Okay, right. So let's. The next question is, what IDE stack do you suggest for a beginner coder coding PHP? That's an interesting question. What IDE do I suggest? I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know. I mean, the IDE, it would be. I use PHP Storm, but you have to pay for it, and I don't like saying to beginners, like, here's a paid option, because that's a bit of a that can turn people away. I do this professionally, and so I pay for the tools that I use. There are IDEs out there that are free. VS Code, for example, that's a good one. So I've been told. And what kind of stack do I suggest? So I presumably you're talking a bit DevOpsy here, rather than the programming language, because you specified PHP. If you are talking about different programming languages, vanilla JavaScript, definitely, for beginners. Vanilla CSS for beginners, definitely. But if you're talking about DevOpsy type stuff, how do you get things set up locally, then you don't necessarily need to look into Docker straight away. That scares a lot of people off, especially beginners. So you could just spin up like a lamp stack, WAMP stack type scenario, where you're just running a local web server. Don't scare yourself too much with how to configure web servers. There's no need for that when you're just starting out. Once you start getting more advanced, then yeah, start looking at advanced topics such as DevOps, Docker, and all of that. But again, I don't think Docker is a beginner-friendly thing to learn. So JavaScript and CSS, both vanilla. Don't trouble yourself too soon with frameworks of those kind of things, because you'll end up learning JavaScript and CSS through the lens of that framework. Those frameworks are very opinionated. I work primarily on legacy applications, as you can probably tell, and most of the JavaScript work that I do in the last, say, year or so has been on jQuery, right? So there's no newfangled technology that I've been playing with in the professional sense. So I wouldn't get too hung up on, I need to learn the new hot trend, because you probably might not be working on those kind of things straight away. Same with PHP. I wouldn't worry too much about frameworks. I would just learn PHP, and then I would start learning. I would probably move into Symfony, and then from there move into, say, Laravel. I would do it that way around rather than Laravel to Symfony, because personally I find Laravel is very opinionated. They put a lot of sprinkles on top of the code, where I'm getting into a rant now. So I'm going to change the view because I didn't do it this last time. Getting into the rant. Why does Pete not like Laravel? Well, Laravel's great. Laravel is a good framework. Don't get me wrong. It's fantastic. However, there is an ecosystem. There is an ecosystem around Laravel, and that ecosystem is a monetary ecosystem, which the argument for that is that the money that you provide the Laravel community, it goes back to the Laravel community by making the tools better, which is great. That's a big win. It's like saying, WordPress has a monetary sort of ecosystem with the plugins. Some of the plugins you have to pay for, right? But some of those plugins are really, really good, and the money you invest in those plugins are great. However, going back to why I'm not a particular fan of Laravel off the bat, is that the code can get quite opinionated, and it can, if you're looking at it from a beginner's point of view, it can push you into certain areas of PHP which perhaps hide the complexities of PHP, or the simplicities, I should say, of PHP by over abstracting things. This is a bit of a spicy take, I know, because people will be like, surely that makes things simpler. It does, but I'm always left wondering, what is that actually doing under the hood? And then you discover that it's, sometimes it's a very basic thing in PHP that you could have just written a function for anyway. But no, you have to go through the Laravel hoops in order to get to that point. Symfony I prefer because they're more, they adhere more, I feel they adhere more to, say, the PSR standards. And actually, all of these frameworks, Symfony, even Drupal these days, Laravel, they all rely on Symfony components, because Symfony went through this period where it was a massive, huge framework, and then they split everything out into components, and then you can pick and choose which component you actually want. And a lot of those components are in Laravel and in, say, the Drupal 8 and all of that, and other frameworks, Cake PHP and whatnot, and Yi and stuff like that. So yeah, that's why I prefer Symfony personally, because once you start playing with Symfony, you then are able to work on other things as well, because most of it is just an abstraction as to on top of some of the Symfony components. And I really don't like how Laravel has all of this sort of nice sugar on top of its code to, like this one you know, a one-liner does so many different things. I kind of like to see a little bit more transparency as to what the code is actually doing, which is why some people say that Symfony is more complicated than Laravel, because Laravel holds your hand, I think, in certain scenarios more than Symfony does. But you know, it's just my takeaway. I have worked on Laravel sites before. I've worked on Lumen sites before. That's a sort of a micro framework of Laravel. Very good. You know, they're very. I mean, they do the thing that you want to do, right? I mean, you know, it is like comparing a Lamborghini and a Ferrari, right? You're gonna end up with the same solution using Symfony or Laravel. It's just a different journey getting to that one spot. And if you're more comfortable in one other journey than the other, then so be it. I personally prefer Symfony. That's just the. But that's I've been with Symfony since Symfony 1, so I'm a little biased. Anyway, let's get back to this. I realized that nobody actually asked my opinion on Laravel versus Symfony, so I don't actually know why I went into that rant. Anyway, back to the code. Let's go back to here. One thing I would like to do one year is I would like to go to a Laracon, and I would like to, because the energy, the vibe, the community of Laravel is so awesome, and just to experience that would be phenomenal. I think it'd be such a pleasure to experience that, and who knows, I might be won over. Anyway, so let's get to let's get to one of these things. Let's do that's an image thing. That's a forgotten password. Feedback. Let's get to the feedback. I think most of these are the same, right? I think most of these are the same old. So change that to type. Type test case, and clear up this, and clear up that, and get rid of this from there. Get rid of that as well. Change this to this factory, and right. So here we have an expected feedback. That's the model. Oh no, that's the model. That's the expected class. We submit the form, and we're checking whether it's equal. So it is doing the same thing, right? So this should work. Let's just get rid of some of this. Let's get rid of some of this. Right, let's run this test, which I believe is called feedback test. Let's run that. That should hopefully pass. No, it fails. Okay, so too few arguments to constructor of the doctrine type. Ooh, okay. I wasn't expecting that. Feedback type. Oh, hang on. Feedback topic. Wait. Feedback type. Feedback topic. Where does the topic come in? I think that can go. Okay. We're instantiating a new feedback. We're putting all the stuff in there. We're doing all of that. We're checking if it's synchronized. Oh, I'm doing feedback type. No, that is correct. Feedback type test. That is correct. Right. Test submit valid data, which is what we are running here. I could probably get rid of that just to, test submit data, because we're not testing the validation. Anyway, too few arguments to function doctrine constructor. So obviously something's happening when we get to here, right? Feedback type. We have the email type, which is required. Fine. Are we doing anything with... No, we're not. Form type, doctrine type. Form registry. You might be able to hear my dogs in the background. Apologies on that. This is weird. Too few arguments to that function. Let's have a look at the stack trace. So we've got form builder. Line 24 is when it all kicks off. Totally forgotten which file I'm in. This one. Line 24 is where it all kicks off, which is here. So it can't. It's not dealing with the. It's not dealing with the creation of the factory well, which is a bit peculiar. Why is that failing? It then goes through a bunch of form builder routines, gets to the form registry, well, form factory, then gets to form registry, then somehow, some reason it hits the doctrine type, and we're saying that we're not passing in 0 passed, which is bonkers. So why is that? Let's hit this again, and we want to be testing from the website. Let's just make sure the namespaces are correct. We want to making sure that this feedback type is correct. Feedback type. Multiple definitions exist. Yeah. Feedback type. Feedback. Yeah, I mean, that's fine. So we have the entity type here. So there is a doctrine thing going on there. That's fine. So let's read it through. So we've got the builder, we got the options. We're not passing any new options in. We have all of this, which is pretty standard. This would be the topic, which I suppose I need to add in. Option resolver. There's nothing. It doesn't look like there's anything crazy different, apart from the fact that we're using, you know, named parameters. It all looks relatively the same. What am I doing this entity type? What's entity type? Where's this could be it. This could be it, because it's an entity type. I see. Right. Okay. So this would be what that feedback type was. Feedback topic was. Let's just see what we've got. Set name, set email, set private, set message, set subject. So we're not even passing that through. Let's try that. Let's do, what's it called? What's it called? It is called topic. Feedback topic on the entity class. Okay, let's do expected set topic, and this is going to be a new topic. So I'll do new feedback topic entity. Okay, and with the model, we probably need to pass that in as well, I would imagine. I think, like, we probably need to do like feedback topic model is equal to new feedback topic, and we probably need to do model set feedback, hang on, set topic, passing in the feedback topic. Right, let's see if that works. No. Okay, too few arguments to, okay, that's the same error. So that didn't work. Let me just make sure I'm running the right thing. Feedback type test, feedback type test. Yes, I am running the same thing. We're setting the model in here, setting the topic to that. Oh, hang on. Whoa. We're not doing anything in here, are we? Fool. Hang on. That was silly of me. I shouldn't have done that. I don't think we need this. I think we need this. So we have topic, and I think we instantiate a new feedback topic. I think this might do the trick. No. Still being a problem. Feedback doctrine type. I don't think I've got my PHP, my debugger running off, working on this, so I can't step through it, unfortunately. Definitely something not right, and I reckon it's this. Let me just to be 100% sure, let me just comment that out. There isn't anything else that's like, there's a choice type, but that is the only thing that relates to an entity from a doctrine's perspective. Okay, so let's see if we can comment that out for a sec, and then comment that out for a sec, and then run this. Yes, so this is the thing that we are hitting. And I think it's something to do with when we create this. I tell you what, let's go back to creating that thing. So let's just do model set topic is new, feedback topic for a second. Let's just do that. Right, and then let's just put this back in, and put this back in, and put this back in. No. So we definitely know it's this. Entity type. That's a bit problematic, isn't it? That's a bit problematic. So I reckon we need to pass in an options into here, and then have something push into the doctrine type. I'm assuming that when we get to feedback type, I wish I had my debugger running. I could step through all of this stuff. When we do entity, yes, it extends the doctrine type, and I'm assuming the doctrine type has, or maybe it doesn't, or have I gone one deep? Entity has configure options. This is complaining about constructor though. So I don't know. Do we have? We don't have construct on here. Do we have construct on here? We do, which is the registry, which is the okay. So we're gonna have to mock that out. Ugh, yuck, 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 yuck. This is gonna be a tricky test. Okay. Crikey. Crikey, crikey, crikey. I wouldn't even know how to start, where to begin on that one, because from the test perspective, we want to build this. Can we pass in any? We can pass data. We can pass options. So the data would be the second thing. So it would be options. So it would be the options that we pass through. So presumably one of the options we would pass through would be a mock to the registry. So it would be a mocked registry, right? However, I don't know how that gets injected into, into the thing. So, I mean, I guess let's just do an example here. So we've got registry is equal to like this create mock, and then we would have let's make sure I've got it correct. It's manager registry. That's what we need. So manager registry, and then we put in the class, and then we would provide that as an option, but I don't know what I would call it. Like, I don't know what that would be. Because from this perspective, there's no nothing to say that gets changed. It would need to be the options. It would need to be in here, right? Options resolver. God, that's tricky. Okay, I don't think we can fix this. I think what we'll do is we'll revert this back to what it was. And I will tackle that another time, I think. That is going to be really, really painful, I think, to work out. I'm going to have to get my debugger working to step through all of those things. Because what I would like to do is create, when we get to this point here, is to have my debugger on at this point, and then I would be able to step through, well, not this point, would it? It'd be this point, and then step through the options and see how that gets connected or wired up. I reckon that would be the solution. Anyway, okay, I think I'm going to call it a night there, because I'm going to grab some dinner. I'm still doing my fasting. I'm about a week into it now. Well, a week and 2 days, because I started it last week. Yeah. When you pick up a task and you're like, yeah, it'll be quick, we'll be able to do this, and then you discover halfway through that it's actually going to take you longer than you thought. Well, this is where I'm at the minute with this. I'm actually thinking of reverting the whole thing and then just putting this as because I thought that this change would be quick, but it's not. It's taking me a couple of evenings to do, which I don't like. I don't like having things that are hanging around for days, evenings, even weeks sometimes. Like branches that are open on this project. I quite like to keep them nice and short. So I think what I'm going to do is probably stash these changes somewhere and then create another branch, because there are stuff in this branch that I would like to get out. So anyway, thank you ever so much for watching and listening to my random rants and stuff. Thank you for the questions. They were really good. Thank you, Tom. Thank you. Is it Gridley? Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And I will speak to you again soon. Podcast is coming out probably Thursday, maybe Friday. We'll see. Happy coding.